Okay, Cindy Ong, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me to the show. It's good. It's Monday morning right here in Malaysia where I am.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it. Well, listen, you're going to be my first attempt at interviewing a masters swimmer and kind of digging into the whole world of masters swimming. It's so intriguing to me, but you're a five-time world masters champion from 2019. So I really wanted to start with somebody that's had ultimate success. And so you're my first. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So Malaysia, for those that don't know where Malaysia is, because I'm in America, so Americans don't have a full understanding of the world map. So tell us where Malaysia is.
So usually when I tell people where Malaysia is, they don't know. And I'll always say it's between Thailand and Singapore.
But yeah, between
That's
Thailand
it.
and Singapore. The reason why I know it's just above Australia. I grew up in Australia. So have you spent any time in Australia before?
I've only visited, but no, I did not.
Yeah.
I went to school in the US actually.
Oh, really? Where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to Drury University, Springfield, Missouri. That's
Wow.
it.
How'd you end up going from Malaysia to Drury?
I was in high school, and one day I just got a call, and you know, I was offered a full ride, and I at that time I didn't even know what a full ride meant. So I asked my dad, hey dad, what does full ride mean? And he told me it means everything paid for. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it was
Wow.
actually my coach who called me. I mean, he found out about me and just gave me a call. And
So you just
next,
growing up as a regular swimmer in Malaysia. What age did you start swimming?
I probably learned to swim at 3 and
Hmm.
swam competitively I wouldn't say competitive, but I competed my first race at 6. I remember it was like a 30-meter butterfly and I swam 30 seconds. um,
Wow.
yeah, that was at 5.5 years old. Actually, it was January. Five and a half. And that was a record that stood until that pool was scrapped and converted to a 50 meters.
Wow.
So how old did I start swimming? I guess I was swimming since I was 3, but competitive since, like, seriously, maybe about 12.
Wow. And so swimming's a part of your life all the way through high school, and then I guess you get to the end of high school, and then you get this contact from Drury. Were
Drury
you
University is a Division two NCAA.
uh-huh. Were you contemplating giving up swimming at that point, and then this was kind of like a way to continue, or what was your thought then?
No, it wasn't. So everybody would always ask me if I was going to follow the footsteps of my brother because he's also a swimmer and he went to Minnesota
Mm,
Gophers.
right.
So everybody would ask me if I was going. So that's kind of like the pathway that was shaped, and I'm kind of put in the spot all the time. And no, I didn't think about quitting at that time, but of course, being a swimmer, it's always a love-hate relationship with swimming. You always love swimming, but you dread, like, oh, certain aspects of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's that.
So what about your experience in college? How was that for you?
It was actually fantastic. I love the school. It's a very small school, Division two. Everybody knows everybody, tight knit. Coach is always in our faces. We're in coach's face, and I love that. I love that it is a very small, close knitted community. Compared to my brother's experience, I mean, he went to University of Minnesota, where I don't know how many thousands, maybe 20,000 people in school,
Mm,
and there's just no personalization. Each class is like 300 people in the auditorium, whereas the school that I went to, we may have as little as 5 people. So we had all the help we needed, especially coming from Malaysia, where uh, the mode wasn't really in English, and the entire system was different. I had no idea uh, on the American curriculum, so it definitely helped.
what's the official language in Malaysia?
Malay.
Malay.
Yeah, it's similar to Indonesian.
Okay. Yeah. Did you grow up learning English in high school as well?
English was always a subject in school. It's it's a language, so we're given, I think, 2 hours a week or so to learn
Mm.
English.
Right.
So everybody speaks English, but it's to what extent do you really speak English?
How was your English by the time you got to Drury?
I think I was understandable.
That's what you think. I wonder what everyone else thinks.
I was made fun of several times. There were certain words that I said, and they were trying to correct me. So I guess it happens to all international students,
Listen, I grew up speaking English in Australia, but nobody could understand me, and everyone made fun of me too. I guess people said they liked it, but they couldn't understand me. But yeah, it happens. But well, then you spend your time in college. Now, I had heard you qualified for the 2004 Olympics. Did you not go?
No, I did not. For some political reasons, probably it's best not to disclose. I still like to continue swimming.
Oh, really?
So yes,
I didn't know that. Those political issues. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a strong kind of consideration in Malaysia? Like, is it very political?
Let's just say that it is more political. I guess it is everywhere. In every country is rather political, but in Malaysia things are
But I've seen you come out, with speaking out about certain issues, sexual harassment, and then also now you're talking about Ukraine. I mean, you seem to have a voice within the system.
Yeah, very, very good question, actually. So right now, what I'm doing is that I'm using I have a small following, and so I'm just using myself as a platform to voice out issues within the country, like sexual harassment in the sports industry, age discrimination in the sports industry. And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I am no longer under Malaysia. So, it's not like I'm a national swimmer. I'm not under any program. I'm all on my own, fully funded, and so I'm able to speak up. But in the past, during times of Olympic, I wasn't. I was under their program.
Oh, okay, right. That makes more sense. So now as a master swimmer, when you compete at the World Championships, you can basically just represent yourself.
Okay, so in World Champs, it's a club-based event, so it's very much like football. Someone can be from Germany and represent Manchester or Liverpool, or it's club-based, so you don't actually represent a country. And I represented APSC, which is a club that's registered in Singapore, and so I got a little bit of lashback on that because Malaysians were then calling me traitor. You traitor! Why is there SIN behind your name? And but I was carrying a Malaysian flag. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. That was my second World Champs. My first was in 2017. I swam in Budapest, half a year after the delivery of my third baby, and I thought that just half a year after the delivery of my third baby, I was able to get a fifth placing. In the 100 free, I was fifth, and they award medals up to 6. So gold, silver, bronze, and then fourth to sixth place, you get like a alloy color, like just aluminum color.
Right.
But I was really proud. It was my first race back since college. It's a very different experience, really different. I had to relearn the sport. It seemed like swimming progressed so much during the time that I was out of it. New rules, breaststroke change, and it went back and forth. It's very different. And even, you think about small things like freestyle and butterfly, it's different now compared to when I first learned it in the 80s and 90s. It's different.
Right.
So, the whole undulation and fly, and now everyone's trying to swim a little bit flatter, and it's different. A freestyle, you want to spin the arms, and
right.
Yeah.
So when you decided to come back, Why did you decide to come back? Why did you decide to take up master swimming in the first place?
That is an awesome question. Right. So I always say this. I was overweight after my second child. I was severely overweight. And, you know, I guess it happens to swimmers sometimes when you quit swimming and you just balloon up. So that kind of happened to me, had my second child and just ballooned up to unbelievable proportion. It's like 20 kilos, so maybe close to 50 pounds, maybe 45 pounds,
Right.
bigger than I am now. And it was quite depressing. So I did the only thing I knew. A lot of swimmers probably can relate. We can't run, can't cycle.
Yeah.
Pretty hopeless, you know. So I wanted to lose weight, and I did the one thing that I do best. I jumped into the pool and I started swimming. And the next thing I know, I was, you know, a few swimmers, they went to compete in Singapore and say, hey, you know what, just join us. And I thought, okay, it's a short course. I give it a shot. At that time, when I signed up for a regional race, regional masters race, I didn't even have like a racing goggle. I was using training suit, and I had to go out and actually buy my first pair of racing goggle, because having swum competitively all these years, everything is sponsored, right? Like you don't go out and buy a pair of goggles. So I had to actually go out and buy a pair of goggles. To me, that was like a big thing. And I had to go and the next race that I did outside of Singapore, I had to buy a race suit. And yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only, you know, so I went and did the only thing I knew, which was swim, and one thing led to another. So the entire reason why I went back was actually to just lose weight.
Right. Well, it progressed into world championships beyond that. So, I mean, pretty astounding. So we individualize training in the pool. So why not individualize your nutrition? Erica Beine of Beine Wellness Building will help you and your swimmers get exactly what each athlete needs through genetic testing and personalized nutrition plans. So stop guessing what you should and shouldn't be putting into your body. Athletes within a few weeks have noticed they're recovering faster because they're fueling their body with what they need and staying away from what their body hates. Erica understands swimming. She gets it. She's worked with over 20 Olympians, including the fastest man in the world, Caleb Dressel. Group discounts are available, so go to Beine Wellness Building and get in touch with Erica today. That's Beine, Beine, wellnessbuilding.net. For someone that, you know, is interested in that kind of path, how do you go from just losing weight to a world title?
Oh, so it's been you know, it's been a journey. When I first started, I was wearing a Garmin watch, trying to keep track of how many laps I've done, and you know, all that stuff that real swimmers don't do. Like how many laps you've done, how many calories did you burn? I think people, we don't need to keep track of that, because there's no specific use of that data to me.
Right.
I don't know how to use that data. I mean, so what if I burn 900 calories today? Does it mean that I can eat 900? I mean, I don't know how to use that data. So I went from a swimmer like that to then, you know, ditch the watch, because the watch, water entered that watch, and I ditched the watch. And then I started signing up for, like I said, the race. So having been a competitive swimmer, I guess it's always there. And I signed up for Singapore, and then I signed up for Japan. So before I knew it, I was racing around Asia, and started winning. Rubbish times, like really rubbish times. but that really stirred up that competitiveness within me to want to do better, because the last image of myself when I first swam again was the person who qualified for Olympics. So when I first jumped back into the pool, and I tried the best that I could, and my times were just ridiculously slow, I had to come to terms with that first. And when I came to terms with that, then I was able to grow and have room to improve. Because otherwise, coming from that, you know, I was the best in the country, and then now here I am, like 45 pounds overweight, and not being able, when I first went back to swim, I wasn't able to complete 200 meters straight swim. I couldn't even swim 200 meters nonstop. I had to stop.
Wow. Did you seek out a coach, or were you doing this on your own?
I was all by myself the whole time. I never had a coach. Yeah. And I only swam inside my condo pool. So your question of how did I become, I went from overweight to world champion. It's all, I guess it's all down to, so one is fueled, is driven by that competitiveness within me. And so that kind of opened up the pathway for a lot of things. So I started researching and reading religiously every day on the latest and greatest in the sport. What has progressed? What have I missed out in the last 10 years? And just to update myself again. And I started seeing a lot of articles that's being written there. And these, I don't know, but during my time, I don't think it existed. All these scientific findings and information. Sorry, that's my mom that's walking in the background.
Say, Mom. That's all right. Hey, Mom.
So, and I fed myself with all these information, and it was fascinating. The more I read about it, the more I thought, man, I've swum all my life, and I really don't know much about swimming. And that's, and I went from that angle, and I just had more thirst to want to learn more about swimming. And I continued reading scientific aspects of everything. And then all of a sudden, I guess I had a breakthrough, maybe if you want to call it that. I went from training, I would say I average about 4 kilometers a session, down to 3, down to 2.5, down to maybe 2 kilometers a session. So,
really? Well, why was the progression down? Like, what were you discovering?
I discovered and had an aha moment, and I trialed everything with myself first before I would apply it. So because I'm my own coach, and I design, so I have a periodization chart on, and I kind of design everything that I want to do for myself, personalized one. So why down? It's because I realized that it made zero difference. So one, it made zero difference whether I swam 2K or 4K per session. And two, is the type of training that went in. So I wouldn't be doing stuff like, so as a master swimmer, time is luxury. Luxury is time.
Right.
So I really can't, churn in 10 sessions a week, morning, evening, 2 hours a day. I can't do that. I've got 3 kids. So it's got to be down to what's really efficient. And I know that several other master swimmers are doing this as well. They are also training maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, 1 hour per session, in and out, or maybe lunch break, or just as working adults, we don't have the luxury.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Maybe this will inspire you to start.
Listen, I've honestly thought about it a few times. I really have. And actually, I was kind of getting serious about this time last year, and kind of plotting maybe something to come back. And then I just couldn't find the competitive motivation. And I'm interested in that question for you. So when you say competitive kind of motivation for you, was that a personal competitiveness? Like, were you looking at a time that you wanted to obtain, or were you looking at people that you wanted to beat, or were you looking at places you wanted to go? What was it for you?
It's a combination. I think on a personal level, that was that time, because the last memory was me qualifying for the Olympics, and then all of a sudden, now I'm this person who's super slow. To me, is super slow. So even though I was winning on a master's level, but it's nowhere near where I was. And so to me, on a personal level, that was that. And then just like just like amateur swimming, master swimming also have ranking. So we've got like world top 10 ranking, short course, long course in every single event. And that 1 year before I started, my brother had a top 10 ranking. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. I want to do that too.
Right.
And that's how I started. So
Right.
growing up since childhood, my brother and I have got this, I wouldn't say it's sibling rivalry, but it's a form of sibling rivalry that's really healthy. So like, oh, if he qualified Olympics, I want to qualify Olympics too.
Right.
It's you know, it's kind of that. So he went to Olympics twice.
Oh, right. Where does your brother live now?
Here in KL.
Oh, okay. Does he still compete, swim?
No.
No, gave it up.
No, yeah.
So now it's little sister just went beyond, hey?
Yes.
That's good. Now, listen, tell me about the training out of the pool. So you're in the pool, you've got it down to about 2 kilometers. You're doing exactly what you need. You've got it all periodized. What about outside of the pool? What are you doing there?
Okay, that's another good question. So we're talking about right now, COVID period, everybody's just working out at home. I've had to change a lot of stuff since COVID happened and working at home. So I once again had to really dig and do a lot of research, but there was nothing much that was out there. So I kind of had to develop something on my own. And I don't mind sharing this at all, actually. There was no pool. There was no access to pool for the longest time ever in Malaysia. We never opened up swimming pool for like a year and a half before pools were really open. Otherwise, it was like open, but with SOP, and then pools didn't want to open, and then, restrictions, and we were one of the last ones to open. So what I had to do was try to simulate swimming on land. And traditionally, we would do stretch cords. Are you familiar? So there's these bands that you just kind of pull on it, and you try to work high elbow, try to work on finishing of your stroke. But I thought that, okay, yeah, this is good, but it does not really simulate swimming. So if you're working weights in the weight room, the weight is constant, right? Like whatever, how many weights, the weight is constant. You're pulling on something like lat pull down. That the weight is constant, but if you're on a band, it gets heavier toward the end.
Right.
Which is kind of similar in swimming because you have, you accelerate in your pull. So I figured that's not enough because I have to introduce something else, another variable that simulates more. So I go on something a little bit more specific and go more swim specific. So then I introduce instability into it. So then I stand on a little thing that's wobbly.
Like a Bosu ball or something?
A Bosu ball is larger,
right.
So it's actually more stable. So it's something smaller. So I started standing on that. So it's unstable because in the water, the water is going to push us in all directions, and our core is going to stay strong to stay really stable. So I stood on that and did my my chords, and then I progressed to doing standing on that on the cord, single-legged. So then it's even more unstable, and you have to have strong focus, strong concentration. And then I added one step further. I know you're thinking,
what would you do after that? You're only on one leg now.
So one leg, of course, I bend my body down, so the other leg is at the back. So body's in the T, and I'm pulling on the cords.
Right.
I inserted a tempo trainer. So that thing that beeps. So I watch all my videos and I match every event's tempo.
Wow.
And I then have it down to, okay, so if I want to work my 100 free, this is how I should be moving my arms. This is the beat. I gotta move it according to that. And I did that. So then I work the chords, heavier resistance, lighter resistance. So if say on that day I'm trying to simulate training for the 100 free, then I'll stand closer. If it's 50 free, I'll stand further back, like heavy resistance. And then I try to work the chord doing kick. It didn't work so well with the kick, but just a whole bunch of swim specific exercises. If it's push up, I'll try to do push up, and then with a freestyle, if it's plank, then there's you plank and you try to plank single arm and put one arm up and try to hold a catch.
Yep.
And so in my training, there's a lot of explosivity, just because I don't compete in 200 events. It's 50 and 100. There needs to be a whole lot of explosiveness. So a lot of jumps, a lot of upper body explosive push-up stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any of this kind of put up on your Instagram or anything?
I had a little bit of it, not a whole lot, but I had a little bit of it on my Instagram.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'd like to check it out. I'm sure there'll be other people that want to see some of this stuff because it's very interesting. Vasa has been the go-to training tool outside of the pool for over 30 years. Vasa's products are ideal for developing power and proper technique in your swimmer's catch. Add a few Vasa trainers to your pool deck, and it's like adding an extra lane to your swimming pool. Go to vasatrainer.com, use code BREAD at checkout, and get 10% off anything from Vasa. Destro Swim Towers. Gain strength in the water with a tower of power. Save $150 per double swim tower by using code BRETT, B-R-E-T-T, at checkout. DestroMachines.com. What about aerobic activity? Do you add in any aerobic activity?
No.
Minimize that?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So I don't. So even when I'm in the pool, I don't swim laps. Not for leisure, not for training. I just get in and everything is at race pace, get the right tempo, and train. Yeah,
Wow.
It's fun. It's very fun because you can actually see the progress and everybody who follows. So I applied it to myself and I noticed that it worked for me. And then I started applying this to my son. He's 11. Right now he's 11, but I applied this to him when he was 8. And he became one of the fastest 8-year-olds in the country, and he carried that when he was 9, and then pandemic happened. He's got a race next weekend, so I think, I don't know, he may still be one of the fastest swimmers in the country for 11-year-old.
Wow. So you apply that to your kids now. That's awesome. And you have a little group too, like you do some coaching?
Yes, they're actually my son's friends, just a small group. I coach them and I apply the same method with pretty good results. So my passion is in coaching little kids, not necessarily learn to swim, but people who already know how to swim and they're just getting into competitive swimming. And I like to take them from that pre-competitive swimming developmental group and take them up to age group to 10, 11, 12. And I love that age group because they're just moldable, and the improvement you see and the person they become from someone. Anyone who's coached know that, okay, 8-year-olds, you're going to need a lot of motivation because they don't necessarily want to do it on their own. Some of them do, and it's fantastic. I've got 6-year-olds who want to do it. I'm like, whoa. Wow. I was just playing with sand at the age of 6. I was just
wow.
And you've got 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds who are like just daddy, mommy taking them, and it's more like daddy, mommy wants them to do it. But transforming that little boy and that little girl who's afraid of the water, afraid of swimming, and just getting into competitive swimming to a 12-year-old who's autonomous. Now they are the one taking charge, and they are the ones who are leading, and they're the ones who like, coach, what do we do? And coach, I love that. That is really satisfying for me.
That's awesome. And that's pretty unusual that the kids at, that age are doing that type of work, which I think, listen, I've been an advocate for this type of work because it's engaging for kids. It's fun for them. It hopefully will keep them in the sport longer too. So, there's been this old school method of coaching kids for years and years that's just been handed down. This to me is kind of like cutting edge. I think it's exciting that you're, experimenting in this field.
Yeah, so for one, I just want to clarify, I'm actually a true, I challenge conventions. I don't like conventions, and this has been just me personally, Cindy, all my life since I was young. You know, I'd always get into trouble just because I want to test the boundaries. I want to, I don't accept things as they are. I don't necessarily like to accept things as they are, and I try to just challenge that a little bit further and ask questions. Why? So in my head, when I got back to master swimming, I mean, I couldn't control this when I was younger, and being a swimmer at that time in that environment back then, I didn't have a brain to think because everything was fed to me. I had coaches, right? I trained under one coach and then the next coach and the next coach. You move and you move and you move. Everything is fed to me, and you see that coach's success, you see other swimmers' success, and you just kind of follow along that path. There's no thinking process.
Right.
But as a coach myself, and then I started swimming, I had to think, as a master swimmer, how do I strategically train for the best for myself? How do I train? Because I've got limited time, limited resources, and everything's limited basically. So how do I maximize every single training session? And then I started challenging conventions where I started cutting down. Like I said, I cut from 4K to 3K to 2K. And how did I do that? I stopped training anything more than 100 meters. I don't actually do more than 3 100s if I were to swim 100.
Wow.
So if I do I'm a flyer and I love fly. So if I want to train fly, it would be more like doing 70 by 25 fly at 100 race pace, holding 100 fly tempo with, that compared to, or like 3 rounds of 20 by 25 compared to like 30 by 100, 50 fly, 50 free kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a bit more specific.
Right.
Yeah. And so I stopped doing stuff. I challenge, and I always ask, why am I doing 10 200s? Because when I first started swimming and to lose weight, I was doing stuff like 10 300s. And that was my ultimate. I would feel really proud of myself for completing 10 300s. But then I started questioning, do I really need 300? Because I'm only going to compete 50. So then I looked at MMA, and they fight, but their training method is not like that. And then you look at sprinters, like running, sprinting. They sprint, but they don't, like marathon runners don't run a marathon before the marathon.
Right. No, listen, I believe very similar philosophy to you. I think we're on the same page with this. I'm kind of out of the box too, in a way. I coach sprinters, and so I'm very much a minimalist as well, but a maximalist in terms of the quality of the work that we want to do, and
Absolutely.
and the time that we're putting in. You want to maximize that time, but so I feel that way. But
absolutely.
And there's going to be a lot of people that listen to this now that master swimmers. What about this question then? Like as a kind of an older athlete, let's say, I'm talking about myself now, and I want to get back into swimming. How do I get through those days where there's a lot going on? Your kids are doing this and the work's happening, and then you've got meetings, and then, but you got to put your training in, but then you get to that point where it's like, maybe I'll just do it later. Do you get to that point?
So Brett, of course, we are all adults, right? We have our days, but let me honestly ask you this question, and you've got to answer me.
All right.
Do you think you will feel better or worse after the swim?
Always better. Yeah.
There you go.
Always better. Yeah. Always better.
Yeah,
but
always better. It even as an amateur swimmer in college, you have those days, and you really don't want to go for practice.
Right.
But then you wake up in the morning, you really don't want to wake up. Oh, it's cold, and you want to stay in bed. But you know what? At the end of the day, you woke up, you went practice, and you're happy that you went.
True. I guess you got to have a firm, fixed goal too, of like, this is what I'm aiming for. Because without a goal, without an aim, it's too easy for the excuse to come in, right?
Yes. But I also noticed for myself that if I have a fixed training schedule,
right,
and I fix it, and so that's that. Everything has to revolve around that, rather rather than, if I have time, I'll go swim.
Oh,
If I don't
okay.
have time. So if I do that, I used to do that, then
Right.
it never happens. They're
Right.
never in a pool. So you have to allocate that
Right.
and and tell yourself by hook or by crook, these are the times, and it helps to find someone to swim with you. So they're accountable. You have to show up by hook or by crook.
Yep.
So I organize free swimming class, like not swimming class, but free training sessions for masters. And I welcomed everybody, anybody who's willing to put in the time with me, anyone who's willing to listen to me talk about swimming. So I've got like 70-year-old man and younger to 70-year-old, the entire range of people who are just willing to show up. And because of that, and I was the one who asked them to show up, I was accountable. And obviously I was the fastest, and it's always a challenge trying to find someone to swim with me. But it didn't deter me. That's how I started, and it kept me accountable and consistent. And I think that's what you need to start.
Right. What are you most proud of about yourself in terms of a quality?
What do you mean? Like determination.
Yeah, I mean, disciplined. I don't know what. I guess you're just determined. So once you put your mind to something, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. If I don't want it, then it'll never happen. But if I actually put my mind to it, then I'll make sure it happens.
When did you decide you wanted to be a world champion?
After I got that 5th placing in Budapest, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because I thought, okay, if half a year after the delivery of my 3rd child, I was able to land a 5th place medal, what would 2 years of training take me?
Right.
And I saw those people with their country flags standing on a podium. It was grand. I mean, it was World Champs, same venue as World Champs, and it was just 2 weeks after. So World Masters Champs is 2 weeks after World Champs, and it was really grand. And I felt like, the urge was there, and so I put my heart into 2 years worth of training.
Right.
And ended up with 5 golds, 2 silvers. Wow. I don't really talk about the 2 silvers because to me it's the first loser.
That's the attitude there. Okay. You got a silver in the 50 free. I saw that.
50 free. Wasn't quite happy with that.
Do you know your competitors? Like, do you know them well? Do you study them? Do you
Not really. I think having swam in the Masters arena, I'm a newbie because I only started like a few years ago, like maybe 4 years ago now. But I haven't competed in the last 2 years. How many years now? How many years are we in COVID? I can't keep track.
Yeah.
So I'm a newbie. I do have friends in the community, but I don't necessarily study them yet. Right. I don't think I'm there yet.
Now, I heard the World Championships were meant to happen in May, I believe, and they got postponed to the following year.
Yeah. It's boo. It's a no-go this year, so nothing this year.
It's supposed to be in Fukuoka, Japan.
Fukuoka, Japan, yes. And they're just not ready to host it, so they're saying next year.
Wow. Is that something you think you'll aim to go to?
I don't know yet. As of now, I can't confirm if I'm going next year because I will be at the top of my age group. I'll be the oldest next year, and there are some other factors as well. I just don't know if I'm able to go next year.
But you're a defending champion, right? You've got to defend, maybe. People want to race you now. They're like, okay, now they know who you are. You might not know who they are, but they know who you are.
Exactly. When you're on top, everybody wants to race you.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants to beat you.
Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply.
Now, listen, I did see an interesting story where your daughter, Kiara, has some crazy IQ. Is she like some sort of genius or something? What is this? She got an IQ of 165 or something?
Yeah, so we decided to get her tested because she's a little, I don't, a little special, not special needs special, but she's special in her own ways. And at the age of 6, she actually finished reading the entire Harry Potter series.
Wow.
Yeah, when people are learning how to read like to cat, she basically read the entire series of Harry Potter.
Wow.
And when she was doing that, I didn't really think anything about it, but until after, and I'm like, yeah, you know, when my son was that age, he was just learning how to read cat. This is a cat, and then my friends' kids, they're like, no, it's not normal.
Wow.
And then I realized, yeah, because when she was like 1.5, she was saying things like, "Mommy, I want to go home." She was stringing like 5, 6 words, sentences together,
Wow.
and so a little bit unusual. So we decided to get her tested, and she came back at 165. So
What does it mean exactly? Like once you get that result back, like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
good question.
tell
Okay,
me.
another reason why we actually got her tested is because she was enrolled in a government school in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we've got government school, we've got private school, and we've got international school. So there's like, and there are others as well, but these are the 3 main ones. And she was enrolled in a government education institution. And in this government schooling system in Malaysia, it's very standardized.
Right.
So there's no movement at all. You cannot move. Everybody moves like as a tuna can, a sardine can. So, and she was doodling all over the sofa. It was online class, and she could not focus in her class because her class was teaching phonics, and there she was completely bored out of her mind and doodling on my sofa on the table, and just like halfway in the class she would be like this, and you'd see her like this, and I just thought something's not right. So I decided to get her tested, and when it came out this high, we spoke to the school, and the school said that they couldn't do anything about it to advance her or to put her in a class where because she wasn't moving in tandem. Like she's really, 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 really good verbally, but mathematics she's not as good. You know, but the school couldn't do anything about it to adjust, and we needed something to cater to her development, her developmental needs. And so we pulled her out of the government school and actually put her in a homeschool.
Oh, wow. Okay. So who's responsible for that? Do you have someone come in, or do you actually?
Oh no, it's an institution. They
Right.
call it homeschool. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where, right. So you know, they're yeah, she's a lot happier, and yeah, she's doing well.
Progressing better. Yeah.
Yeah, just more engaged, you know.
Right.
And I had to put my son. I pulled my son out and put him in the same school as well because he's the flip side.
Right.
He's not like he's 5th grade, but at that time he was not actually following. He was not doing so well in school, so we pulled him out, and so this smaller classroom homeschool setting, English medium. Previously he was in a Chinese medium school, so now English medium school, and they're doing a lot better.
Wow.
So both kids, they're 4 years apart, but in school they're actually only 2 years apart.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do they speak multiple languages as well?
Yes, it's a norm in Malaysia.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, listen, I just want to finish up here. I noticed, I see you launched some NFTs just in the last couple of days. Tell me what's going on with that.
Oh, that's actually a pet project of mine. I've been wanting to launch my own NFT. I think I am the first sports person in Malaysia to launch this, and it's actually not launched yet. I'll launch it on the 20th this month. It'll be on OpenSea, and I've always wanted to do this. So it's basically like a personal pet project of mine. And then the war broke out. So I decided to pledge some of the proceeds to donate to Ukraine. So I've got a few auction items that I will hopefully gather enough to send to Ukraine. So I met up with the ambassador, the Ukrainian ambassador here in Malaysia, and spoke to him, and he's very supportive of the cause.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, that's the NFT program. So 999 photos of myself, very private photos that previously only resided in my phone. So now I'm going to release it out, and hopefully this is also more of a empowerment project where I'm not sure if you've seen it. I was very outspoken on sexual harassment. I was harassed when I was younger. So this is something where it's private photos of myself, but the message that I'm sending across is that I get to decide what I want to put out there.
Right.
Like I am in charge.
Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that too. For those that don't exactly know what NFT is, tell us quickly what that is.
It's a unique token. It can be anything. Can be a record. Can be, like a song, a record. Can be a photo of a flower. Can be something you just made up. It's just and this exists in the metaverse, so it's not actually real, but it gives you ownership of one specific. It's non-fungible token, so you are the owner. It's like collectible items like Star Wars posters, for example, and then they only release say 100 copies, and on the bottom of the 100 copies you have the certificate of authenticity to say that you are the owner. So these NFTs, it's all on blockchain. So who's the first owner, second owner, third owner? It's all stacked, and you cannot amend, you cannot edit. And say that you are the one specific owner of this item. So another person.
I was going to say, how will people be able to access your NFTs?
Oh, it's on OpenSea. They can search Cindy Ong Swimmer.
OpenSea, Cindy Ong Swimmer. Okay.
Yeah,
what about
it's not out yet.
Okay, yeah, 20th. What about social media? Just let us know where people can find you as well.
Oh, I'm Cindy Ong Swimmer. Cindy_Ong_Swimmer on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay. Well, listen, I really appreciate this. This has been interesting. Like I said, my first master swim. I'm trying to discover new questions, and you've opened up a whole new world for me. So, congratulations on your success and your continued success, and good luck with everything. Okay.
Thank you very much for inviting me to the show, Brett.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cindy. Take care. Bye.
Event, heat, lane, name of swimmer, times and places. It's called Swimnerd Live, and it allows the data and times from your actual scoreboard to be broadcast and viewed in real time on any smart TV, phone, or other device. There are so many things you can do with this software. A very simple and easy to use necessity for any team or facility that is live streaming their meets results. One click on any device and they're watching your swim meet live in real time. Go to swimpractice.com to learn more.